just pulled into the parking lot of Whitewater Walk, and I see that there's a lineup. We're just waiting for one of my kids to get out of the washroom, and then we're gonna make our way across the street. Quite excited to be able to feel the energetic frequency of this specific waterway, which runs perpendicular to one of Gaia's ley lines. Perpendicular to one of Gaia's energetic ley lines, and specifically this waterway purposely flows along the energetic ley lines within Gaia's frequency to deliver to it an essence of wholeness through the incoming and outflowing influx of water that funnels essentially within the tunneling system of her energetic ley lines, its energy source. So power in itself runs perpendicular to her ley lines, being pushed by this water system, and it's quite powerful and furious. I can show you on our way there and once we get there as well, but it's definitely for light workers. It'll become an activation point for you in the near future as the ascension energies progress, so it's definitely worth checking out. If you see this video, make it out to the Whitewater Walk. Take that walk down to the very bottom where you get so close to the ley line, to the veins within Gaia that literally pushes to and fro the watering system that runs perpendicular to this ley line that will ultimately activate you into a higher frequency. Had you come and had you chosen to do so, this frequency will carry you into your next octave of awakening. Now everybody is kind of scattered, so I'm getting nervous, but I'm gonna round them up and cross the road. So we took an elevator 200 feet down to the base of the rapids, walking down this huge tunnel now. Look at this. The kids are quite excited. It smells kind of damp down here, but I do see a light at the end of the tunnel. Very exciting. I'll show you what it looks like when we get to the other side. So we've come onto this patio-like place. Wow. So the veins within Gaia's energetic system literally runs underneath this rapid right here. Look at how powerful and furious the water is. I feel it in my spirit. Wow. And there's just a little bridge over there, a little walkway that probably takes you closer and lower down to the watering system. But the free-flowing energetic frequency that juts across this watering system in the dynamic frequency of the energetic ley lines of Gaia is ever so present and ever so powerful in itself, and it delivers a food source into other parts of her being through this watering system that pushes the energetic frequency to and fro in parallel perspectives towards and against the energetic ley lines within her core and perpendicular to her being. I can feel it, and as we get closer, the rapids will get even more furious, and I'll show you what that looks like when we get there. So we've made it down to the first part of the trek. You can already see the water. The porosity of the water picks up just a little bit in. So it's probably a few hundred feet down from where we were. There are the kids. To give you an idea of just the sheer force of strength that this water carrying this energetic force, pushing it to and fro from its destination, consists of encompassing Look how sweet. The baby was adamant to stay with me, but quite honestly, he's very secure with his elder sister. The relationship that they have is so kind and so gentle. It's very tender to watch. The sound of energy flowing with the waves. No better sound on the face of this planet than this frequency. So if you find yourself down and out one of these days, make sure to make your way to a waterway that carries lots and lots of energy, and just sit and reflect on life, sit and reflect on the meaning of all of this energy, sit in the sound of this music of nature, and it will bring you everlasting peace, undoubtedly. I wish you could just hang out on this rock, but it's quite dangerous. And if I could, I'd sit there and listen to the sound of this music anytime, any day. It's loud, it's ferocious, but it's undoubtedly the most relaxing frequency that you could ever pick up on, you could ever have the pleasure of listening to. Had you had time, and if you were to sit here all night, by morning, if you had cancer cells, the frequencies of those cells would shift in a different direction. So for those of you suffering any ailments, do not hesitate to come to a rapid like this and sit for as long as you want, as long as you can, to just listen to these sounds and the frequency of the water. So I'm standing here at the bottom of the pathway into the rapids. We're undoubtedly at the strongest part of the rapids within this walkway, but not as strong as it would get as you proceed forward towards the fall. I'm being directed to that direction to fix some energetic frequencies that way. So I'll take you to the falls a little bit later. I know a lot of you guys have been to the falls before and it's nothing like new to see, but I wanted to take you here to kind of show you a visual on what the energetic frequency within these ley lines would actually feel like in a high momentum area, without actually being able to travel within and without these ley lines. The best concept of what it would feel like would be to stand over the rushing water and actually, sorry, I'm gonna get my son to watch the baby because he committed to it and he just walked off. Be right back. I wanted to take you here to show you what it's like to be in the middle of an energetic ley line without actually having to go underground and feel it, because of the physicality that we encompass. It's nearly impossible to be able to feel this energy and not be able to compare it to any type of sense that we have. This is the closest that you will get to the feeling of, to the rush feeling of the deliverance of energy within and without Gaia's surface that carries these energetic ley lines to and fro. It's powerful. It's an epidemic of unearthly power within the earthly grounds of energetic frequency of what is, as these ley lines are ancient and they are derived from an ancient species, an ancient civilization of homeopods that used to reside within Gaia's core and upon Gaia's surface. These ley lines are genetically carried through onto Gaia's surface and were brought here by this ancient species as an extension source within their energetic field. This species had been the first species to ever inhabit Earth's surface, and they came here in exploration of what it would be like had they been able to bring life here. In the beginning of a time of no time within Gaia's everlasting story of physicality. This is the first instance of life, of energetic frequency, of the traveling within the physicality that is not just her body, to merge with these energetic ley lines that would initially inhabit her and reside upon her surface and within her core, for her to feel out the expansion and the expansiveness of dropping down into the core of this floating rock that was designed to hold her soul. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is that ley lines run energetically through the quantum verse, but as Gaia descended down into the core of what would be the physicality of who and what she is, this ancient species followed her soul's path to sort of accompany her down, carrying parts and pieces within its energetic frequency of this ley line that would eventually sink into and merge within every single vein and every single surface area of who and what she is, which is so exciting. And I can touch base on this later on when we get all the way to the rapids and to the falls. I don't have a microphone. I haven't brought it with me, but hopefully you can still hear me. I can't even hear myself right now. The sound is so loud, but it's bringing so much energy to my body. It's truly an amazing experience. Had you not known the backstory of where we are, what this water represents, it could flow over your head like it's just water, you know, but the sound is so beautiful. But knowing all of this and being able to be here and speak the truth and talk to you about the heritage of where this energy comes from brings me so much excitement, and I'm just so grateful to be here in this moment in time. So I'm out now. I'm gonna spend some time with the kids. The baby is with the other two boys. I've got them in my line of sight, and I'll touch base very soon once we reach the other side of the rapids where the falls reside. So lo and behold, we've made it to, I guess, the other side of the falls. So if you can zoom into the midpoint perspective of the end point of this water strait, you see that steam looking substance that's being funneled upwards. It's the epitome of the end all and be all of the beginning point perspective of the energetic strait that runs underneath this river that funnels through the energetic frequencies of the 4-dimensional, 5-dimensional, 6-dimensional, 7th-dimensional, 8th-dimensional, 11, 12, 13-dimensional energy, all the way up to the angelic realm. And I say this because what's anchored in the middle of this frequency is the end all and be all within the energetic ley line that travels perpendicular to Gaia's force, making its way down to her arteries. And ladies and gentlemen, the artery of that heart chakra lands smack middle in the middle of this magnificent force of water. Now, the source of this water and where it flows from and where it comes from is not so much within the heart chakra frequency of Gaia's frequency. Now, what's interesting enough is the locationary scope within Gaia's heart chakra is not located here, yet her artery, quote unquote artery, is here. The opening and closing flap of the, so to say, artery lives beneath the surface of this energetic funnel underneath the water. It's just giving me shivers just looking at it, and to be able to speak up on it and educate all of the light workers on this perspective has been such a pleasure to me. I'm getting distracted because the baby is pulling on my leg, but give me 3 to 4 minutes and I promise I'm getting somewhere with this. As we walk down the strait heading that direction, you'll find the waters getting calmer and steeper in frequency. as the ley lines travel that direction into oblivion, it will merge in with the frequency of the water as it's being pushed with the energetic force at the bottom of the falls. The ley line actually comes into a perspective where it decides for itself which way it should flow, but the frequency within the flow of this waterfall is pushing it towards a certain direction. And for millennia, the directional frequency of the ley line has been traveling this way, wayward to the perspective of where the water should essentially flow, and yet perpendicular to the source is an energetic frequency within a two-dimensional portal. I got a little bit distracted there because somebody was standing behind my daughter just like staring at me the whole time while I was talking, and me and my frequency, I've got like peripheral vision, and I was like, but essentially what I was saying is a few kilometers down the strait, somebody anchored down a two-dimensional portal to the underworld. And when I say somebody, I speak of a portion of consciousness that is so inherently connected to the two-dimensional, three-dimensional frequency. Within this frequency, a portion of the shadow government, so to say, that came to a full and complete realization of the five-dimensional frequency sitting above the lands of Niagara Falls within the centralized location of Gaia's artery. And now, during the time of the anchoring of the two-dimensional portal, taking into account of the energetic frequency and the ley lines within Gaia's formation, a lot of these ley lines have been redirected into a direction that is lower than our frequency to keep Gaia's frequency anchored into this dimensional field. The ley lines running perpendicular to her field, above ground, underground, in every which directionary scope, has been tampered with in a multiplexity of different ways, and this is just one of the ways that the darkness within our reality field has ever so sparingly been able to tamper with the directional frequency of these ley lines that go wayward. The pushing and pulling of the frequencies with these two vastly different portals of energetic scope has redirected the directional frequency of the inherent ley lines that run perpendicular to her field above and beyond the waters of these lands. And that might not sound like the meaning of this is very significant in this moment in time, but as we approach the ascension frequencies, it does kind of unnaturally skew her frequency towards the darkness as Gaia is trying to pull herself up into the angelic realm. So it's ever so important for these ley lines to kind of correct themselves and readjust themselves as we approach the solar flash that's set to essentially snap her ley lines back into fruition, back into its positioning at the time of the realignment of her chakra system that will shift all of these ley lines back into perspective. What does that mean for this two-dimensional portal that's been anchored in a few kilometers down this strait? That means it will no longer be in existence. I cannot be more excited to declare this to you, and the reason why my family and I were pulled to this specific location is so that my energetic field can activate the portal that's been placed here above and beyond her chakra and artery system to essentially push angelic energy into the core of this specific area as it pulls and skews her frequency into these arteries that will eventually travel down the strait towards the two-dimensional portal and cause the two-dimensional portal not to affect the frequency of Gaia too much as the friction starts amplifying towards the time of the ascension frequencies and heading up to the time of the solar flash. I'm just soaking it all in. It's wild, it's unbelievable. I'm so grateful to be able to be here in physicality in this moment in time, to be able to even speak of or fathom these concepts or even download this information has been such a pleasure to be able to get to know Gaia on a personal level. And as my daughter is recording this, I don't think it's hit her yet, the realization of what it means to be a fractal of Gaia's soul, as she fractaled from Gaia's soul to assist her in this moment, in this activation, as we stand here in this very moment in time, so close to the valve that pushes, the artery that pushes this angelic frequency down into the very core of Gaia, amplifying it to a point, to a perspective where we can sufficiently and effectively overcome these two-dimensional portals that have been strategically placed within Gaia's waterways, above and beyond the artery system, close to these ferocious waterway systems that push energetic frequency above her ley lines and beyond into the friction point of higher dimensional realms. And as I stand here in this very moment in time recording this video, we are officially at the end of September. And as I speak of the solar flash, it's almost surreal as we head into the solar flash late November, to even be able to speak of it in a way before it happens. It's a little bit surreal. I'm kind of anticipating the darkened energy correlating to all of the two-dimensional portals above Gaia's surface to really strive to become amplified in a moment when Gaia is trying to uplift herself higher and higher into a higher frequency. The two-dimensional beings residing within her core are working extremely hard to scheme up ways to pull her lower into these frequencies. And so you see the story that's playing out within the Palestinian-Israeli lands in this moment in time within our reality field. It's just another scheme to be able to keep the highest vibratory land on the face of this planet in darkness. And as these stories unfold, the darkness will become darker and more sufficiently noticeable. I am done here in this location as our work is done for the most part, but I'm gonna take the kids up to Clifton Hills so they can have some fun. And not that this wasn't fun, this was really awesome. We got to listen to the rapids. Did you guys like this?
Yeah.
That's great. So now we're gonna go have real fun. We'll tap in on our ride home, but I'll follow in with you. I'm gonna end with a view of this magnificent view of Gaia's artery. Like, how amazing. One of her arteries that delivers this magnificent angelic energy into her core. So ladies and gentlemen of the fourth dimensional frequency that fractaled off into this third density environments, behold the wondrous energetic field of Gaia's heart chakra that ever so sparingly, ever so blissfully acts as the artery system within her chakra system, within the locational scope that is not actually her heart chakra. If you happen to live in Canada, you've probably been here in many ways. Your heart lies in the center of our nationality, and the meaning of that is far reaching to the maple syrup and the beavers, the beaver tails, the Canadian leaves of our maple trees. It reaches far and wide into these waterways, into the meaning of being on the border here of this magnificent view, this magnificent force of nature. And had you wanted to visit here, and I'm sure you've been here if you are close to this area, and if you plan on coming here, take a minute to thank her for all that she's ever done for you. Thank Gaia for all of the sacrifices that she's ever made to give life, to provide frequency. The miracles within it all will blow you away once you feel a deeper connection to her well-being, to her soul, to the reason why you're here, to the reason why she's decided to ascend into a higher dimensional frequency. And to the ones of you who decided to drop into this frequency, my light workers, who are a direct descendant of the oversoul within the light working scope of oversouls that belongs to the energetic frequency of the ley lines running to and fro within the quantum verse that's directly linked to the ley lines within Gaia's surface and upon Gaia's core. All the best to you, as you will become activated in a way like never before to fuel Gaia and funnel your energy system into her core at the time of the solar flash, the impending solar flash that is set to happen at the end of November. The energy that you drop in within any given moment in time as needed will fuel these energetic ley lines to snap themselves back towards the fruition of a straightward, not wayward, positional frequency that will alleviate the pain within her to summon up enough energy to realign her chakra system to a new dimensional frequency, whereby preparing herself to shift into the 5D when the ascension rings in. Exciting times are ahead for you and for I and for all of humanity. And I can't wait. And as I speak of the incoming solar flash, and I stay here and I marvel and I gaze at this magnificent, what looks like smoke that's rising into the skies, I feel so blessed to be here and be able to speak on this and touch base on this in every single way, shape, and form. And as you activate your systems to those light workers that I touched on earlier, to align yourself within the energetic ley lines of Gaia's core, within her energy system, you will become activated like never before. You will be the precipice of all of the energetic frequency that ever have interlinked any of these systems, carrying this massive distortional field back into a higher and more vibrant frequency, snapping her out of the two-dimensional frequency eventually, whereby allowing her the ease and the comfort to shift in peace, in solidarity. And as you see the darkness rise over the Israeli and Palestinian lands, just know that none of that was designed not for a purpose. Just know that the energetic frequency within those ley lines will also be activated as fractals from this oversoul that I speak of, that belongs to the energy of these energetic ley lines, have been strategically placed over that land in coherency, in masses. And as they awaken to their destiny, to their tranquility, to the massacres, to the pain, to the dis-ease, to the ease, to the love, to the light within them that can never be shackled down into pain, into death, into engrossed hopelessness, they will for once and for final see the full story, be a part of the full story, anchor their energetic field into the full story as we all together uplift this reality field into a higher and brighter realm within Gaia's frequency, within the chakra systems, within the energetic fields. Within all of that sits a soul so powerful, so much so encompassed by all of the light that you could ever find within our quantum verse, with the deciphering, never-ending energy of hopefulness, of forever arching faith in knowing that God is here, us light workers are here, and we're here together as a singular source, as a force to be reckoned with. So light workers, as you seek these activations and as you're drawn to specific locationary feats within Gaia's core, upon Gaia's surface, do not hesitate to wake up and get this feeling that I need to be at Niagara Falls and just roll out of bed and go. just do it, because you need to be there. You need to receive your activations. Chances are the reality field that encompasses you, that you encompass, is pulling you into a certain locationary scope where you need to be. So the faster and easier your awakening will be if you don't push against these urges to go with the flow and trust in the universe, trust in the light within you, and awaken blissfully as needed, as you're so needed in this moment in time and within any moment in time within her field. And as I sit here perched upon this rock looking at this magnificence, I just know that all of you who needs to be here will eventually make your way down here to receive your activations and to activate Gaia, depending on your purpose, depending on the locationary scope of your bodily structures. You will make it to all of the activation fields where you need to be and make all the difference that you will make as you drop down into this field to do so. And I have no doubt in the faith that I have in humanity that the time is near for the ascension to withhold all of the frequency of the darkness as we work our way towards a perspective of the shifting energetic ley lines that will, for once and for final, snap all of her chakra systems back into alignment with the frequency of the 5-dimensional field that we are heading towards. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna start walking with my children to Clifton Hill, and I'll check base with you very soon. So we are finally making our way back downtown from a full day of exploration. It is officially 11:15 right now. Right at 11:11, we were in depth having a conversation. I said, guys, after the song, it was a Lady Gaga song actually. I said, guys, after the song, I will start my recording. I'm encouraging the kids to nap. The baby's now sleeping in his car seat, ever so sweetly. We had a fruitful, fulfilling day of anchoring down a light so bright in the Niagara region to help Gaia activate her core into ascension symptoms. And as she begins to do so, all of her energy centers will grow in frequency, leading up to the point and the perspective where the darkness will intermingle no longer, no more, with these 4th dimensional, 5th dimensional fields of consciousness within her being. As for far too long, within the coherency of these energetic ley lines that run perpendicular to the waterways of Gaia, transcending these energies of deception has always been an overarching theme for her. And to go with the flow, as she done for millennia, so freely flowing in and out of consciousness of her state of being, too shy, too overwhelmed in loneliness, and too effervescently, largely cohesive in the experience of it all, to reach out her hand to ask for help. And as these 2-dimensional portals anchored into her field drew her lower and lower into the experience that she never wanted to experience for an eternity, she then, one day so bravely, peeked her head above the clouds, above these 2-dimensional frequency channels that drove her into oblivion in times of war, in times of distortion fields, unseen, in times of love lost and schemes within the darkness of overarching treachery, treacherous defeats within her fields. As your lifetime has been as long as you've existed in this planetary field, yet the never-ending reincarnation cycles that never ever ends, never ever ends. And throughout all of that, Centuries upon centuries of experiences lived, millennia of long-lived defeats felt by Gaia, the soul of Gaia, the soul of our planet, as she traversed and trudged through this darkness of the ley lines interlinking her consciousness, the blood work, the vein system, the arteries within her core and above her surface, traveling perpendicular to these waterways that runs to and from, in between energy fields, vortexes, and dimensional frequencies that are so much so anchored down into the different layers and pockets of frequencies within her being, above her fields, within her fields, above and beyond her fields, within the field of our quantum verse, as ley lines travel east and west, south and north, in all different pockets and directions that you can ever perceive to be true and real, not just within the directional frequency of the waterways that are being pulled by the moon's overall epic distortion fields, the epic weight of the moon's distortion fields will lay its hands off of Gaia's surface as we inch closer and closer to the descension of the darkness, to ascend back up into the brightness within the 4-dimensional and 5-dimensional frequencies, when these angelic portals become activated to trigger in a grand ascension, when all of the light workers become activated to awaken to their destiny. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sharing in this experience of this extremely amazing day with me. As I head on home at the end of a long and fruitful day, I wish you all the best of luck in your own ascension frequencies as you ascend into the 5-dimensional field in consciousness, but still find yourself anchored into Gaia's 4-dimensional, 2-dimensional, and 3-dimensional fields prior to triggering in the 5th-dimensional frequency. Gaia herself, Terra herself, the very energy that anchors Gaia into her fields of the 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional, and 2-dimensional frequency, is beginning to lift her hold, is beginning to trudge forward into her ultimate fate of merging back into God's consciousness and releasing that of her blueprint, from Gaia's blueprint, as we ascend higher and higher above the Earth's frequency, even this moment in time, into a placement of brighter, lighter area of a more forgiving field of unity consciousness. And as she begins to lose grasp and lose hold on these 2-dimensional portals, as she peels her blueprint away from Gaia's blueprint, she will begin to go through an evolutionary process like no other. End of a decade, the end of an era, the end of a story that leads to a new beginning, the end of a lifetime of defeats, of overarching turmoil within the lowest frequency in the quantum realm that you can ever reach and be trough. We've experienced it all. Terra has anchored Gaia down into this frequency for as far back as time can tell. And the end that leads to a new beginning will lead to the releasing of this energy that will then allow these energetic pathways to freely snap back into belonging, into unity consciousness, into coherence, into the coherence of interlinking every single particle, every single piece, every single fractal soul given life to on the surface of Gaia, within her core and upon her surface. And as we do so, as Terra begins to emerge out of the darkness to release her ultimate energy field away from the holds that she's had on Gaia, she will merge back. She'll go back home, guys. She will ascend back to where she came from. It's been a long journey for her, to say the least. And to say the most, and at most, Gaia knows in her heart of all hearts that a portion of herself that she identified with for so long must be released of. And as she goes through this process, she will mourn like no tomorrow. She will cry like no other. She will feel in so deeply with this darkness, this treacherous, defeated energy that she's been living in for far too long. Will elevate her into unity as Tara loosens her grip on reality within her core and upon her surface. As the stories are as wide as they are long, the story of defeat that leads to a new beginning must not be taken too wisely as the tale of no tales, of an overarching tomorrow of no tomorrows, of infinite possibilities within our quantum verse, within the energy of us, within the story scope, within Gaia's fields of all times, within lifetimes upon lifetimes of reincarnation cycles that we've ever gone through as a whole of a unity consciousness, within the all that we've ever been. Tara's story within Gaia's core as her blueprint anchored her down since the beginning of the dropping down of this frequency of Gaia's soul into the core of this floating rock that was scoped out, that was created, that was made to one day fulfill a prophecy of the quantum verse, birthing a planet of defeat, a planetary soul that's decided to drop down in such a low frequency in honor of experiencing all that there could ever be in the opposition of the self. In the essence of the braveness of Gaia, we celebrate her today and for always. She deserves to be seen for once and for final. She's extremely shy, as she's never been seen. She's never been as independent as she could have been or should have been. She suffered in silence. Much like how my Akira suffered in silence in 4th grade, in kindergarten, in 1st grade, in 2nd grade, and 3rd grade, as she sat in the corner of her classrooms, too scared to lift her head and say hi to the others who are distortionally there to either make fun of her or support her. But regardless of the reasons why the others are there in her class, sitting at a different table, looking at her, feeling like she's so shy, identifying with her as being the shy person in the classroom, the true reason for her to sit in that corner is unbeknownst to her. The true reason for her to be so timid and so shy and too scared to take out the garbage outside of our front door, as the chute is right there, is unbeknownst to her. And as Tara loosens up her grip on Gaia's reality field, so shall Akira open up her eyes, her bosom to that heart chakra, and grow into all that she's ever meant to be. She's in the back, probably napping, probably listening to me, probably spying on this video conversation. So if you hear this, gently send her a nudge, send her some love. Be gentle with her heart, as she is a fractal of Gaia, the part that will merge in with her during the ascension frequencies and lift her up into the 5-dimensional frequency, the same way that Tara has anchored her down into the 2 and 3 and 4-dimensional frequencies for all of this time. And as Tara releases her grip on Gaia, so shall Akira's blueprint merge in with Gaia and lift her up into a higher dimensional frequency. So ladies and gentlemen, as I drove her to the artery of Gaia today, the story is wider than you can ever perceive to be true or real, but as we sit here in the car heading home, I know that our mission is not complete as of yet. But as of yet, what has been the most fulfilling is getting to know these children of mine, and as you grow your little family of yours in this moment in time, as you most likely have children, light-working children of your own, they will begin to awaken to their destiny and pull you up into the sky, into your sky chakra, and pull you into fruition, into the awakening process of what is. The times ahead are exciting, leading up to the great solar flash predicted by me to be at the end of November, as the sun will rain down its consciousness, parts and pieces of its heated consciousness, merging with the humanity field, and for once and for final snap her grid back into alignment, back into fruition. And as these fractaled souls that fractaled from the energetic frequency of the ley lines that runs to and fro perpendicular to the quantum verse within the way that it flows throughout all that there is, these fractaled souls will become activated through these portals that hold this energy of alignment, that will pass this energy into their fields for them to hold, for them to download, for them to trudge through, for them to unbeknowingly hold all of this power within their frequency. Is all that they've been made to do. Is all that they've fractaled into this dimensional frequency to accomplish. To wait for this moment of the solar flash to awaken their soul into their destiny is a monumental feat that they could ever ask for. The moment is now. You guys, as soon as these fractals download the energetic pockets that they're meant to hold, as soon as the solar flash comes into fruition, the download of this energy will fuel Gaia's energetic ley lines to snap its chakra systems into a new alignment, into a new placement within our reality field that will anchor itself so deeply, not within the sun's rays, not perpendicular to the sun's rays like it has done so for all of this time that Gaia has been anchored down into the 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional frequency. As the sun will no longer fuel our reality field in the way that these ley lines run perpendicular to the sun's fields, as the sun fuels life within the lower dimensional fields. And as her new chakra system, her old chakra system realigns to the new energetic grid that is meant to snap into place, is meant to snap her new alignment into place, it will be in full and total alignment with the energetic frequency of the angelic realm. A new source of life, a new source of frequency that will replace the lifelong frequency that the sun has provided for Gaia in her fields up until 2025, since the very beginning of a time of no time, since the fractaling of this energy by these homeopods that followed her into this frequency, anchoring down this dimensional frequency of energetic ley lines. The very first fractal, very first generation within Earth's frequency that ever had fractaled off from the oversoul of these energetic ley lines. And they're back, they've reincarnated into this field, they're here, they're now, they could be you, they could be your friends, they could be your next door neighbors. There are a hell of a lot of them, you guys. I have an acquaintance who doesn't yet know about who I am that is a fractal within this field, who is waiting to be activated but does not yet know. And we haven't met yet, but the energies will draw him into my field to receive this activation. But as time goes, all of these fractals energetic pockets that came from these ley lines within the quantum verse, the oversoul that encompasses the energetic frequency of these ley lines, will begin to descend down into the energetic pocket of Gaia's field as their energetic frequency begins to expand. indecisively, decisively, exponentially, unexponentially, to a not point perspective, to a 0 point frequency, to a point of merging and joining every single fractal piece, every single fractal soul within her frequency that ever fractaled down from this dimensional field. As all that these ley lines were designed to do was, is, and forever shall be, to anchor down a specific energy and deliver the deliverance of an endpoint perspective and an endpoint goal. And as we ascend into the 5-dimensional frequency and shift our frequency into that endpoint goal of perspective that source consciousness has set out for Gaia, as she asked for help, as she screamed for help, as she reached out her hand to merge with all that there has ever been, as she became tired of sitting so much, experiencing so much, mourning so much, losing so much, loving so much, experiencing the opposite of love in the war frequency of our dimensional frequency, the deception frequency of our frequency. These pockets within Gaia will lead her to the endpoint perspective of her new destination, the beginning of a new beginning. As we ascend and shift her frequency along with our frequency, as we drop down into this frequency, my light workers, to anchor down this light that's so bright, and regardless of your mission, regardless of whether or not you fractaled from this oversoul or not, you are just as important within this frequency. Your story is just as large and just as vast. And when all of us hold hands within this field, the power that we hold will lift her entire being into a different perspective, in blueprint, as Akira's soul descends down into her core to anchor her in for once and for final, conclusively, indecisively, decisively, confirmation, Billy. Any and every type of Lee that you can think of. As there's no words, there's no descriptive feat that is big enough, that is wide enough, that is broad enough to describe the energies that we're heading into. Ladies and gentlemen, these energies that are incoming are bigger than you can ever envision to be true or imagine to be real. Hold on to your bootstraps. It's gonna get extremely hot up in here, cold up in here, in every which direction. You won't believe your eyes, you won't believe your ears, you won't believe your heart chakra. As the darkness is preparing to creep up on each and every country, each and every field, each and every individual within our field, to combat this elevation with these 2-dimensional portals that push back on this heart valve, on every single chakra system within Gaia's core and upon her surface of 4-dimensional and 5-dimensional frequencies, that is about to become anchored in and predominantly triggered in by these activations via Akira's auric field. This is more exciting than you know. And as I initially post this video, there won't be many views. I might send this to my friend to share with that fractal that I was talking about, as there's a portion of energetic frequency in my field that is meant to be downloaded into his field. And as the time ticks down into the solar flash, he will be activated. No matter what, all of these fractal souls will become activated. But his specific geographical location is extremely important, as he is the end-all and be-all to the energetic frequency of the ley lines above and beyond Gaia's artery core within her heart chakra, which is directly located in Niagara Falls, where we just were. And as he was called to merge in with her frequency, to give her these activations within the core of this vortex that we just visited, that he had ignored for far too long, I was forced to become activated to take over the positioning frequency of its mission. I will not be in this frequency field for far too much longer, as we are locating to Malaysia, which will become Gaia's new heart center. Gaia's heart chakra will be shifting post solar flash, snapping into fruition by the energetic grid that will snap back into place and push and be downloaded energetically by these fractals to absorb their energy to fuel the shifting frequency of these energetic ley lines, to straighten them out, whereby snapping Gaia's energetic core and centralized frequencies to snap all of her chakra systems back into alignment, whereby uplifting her heart chakra and moving it straight over the mountains facing north in a northward trajectory of Kuala Lumpur. So the story as deep and as wide as it gets, and I'm excited to share the rest of our process of relocation with the world. Initially, these videos will not receive many views. Actually, they might not receive any views at all, because it's not time yet for this frequency to be heard, to be seen, or to be felt, as the collective hasn't awakened to a point of contention to want to or need to question their reality field in a way that will bring about a deeper understanding to their well-being, to their purpose, to this vortex that is incoming, that will lift the entirety of humanity into a different frequency, out of the slumber of forgetfulness, into the energy of remembrance. And when this time comes, as the time is near but the time is not yet, that is when this video will receive many views. That is when my content will blow up into oblivion, into the field within Gaia, into consciousness itself, as consciousness will no longer be empathetic, be cohesively in conjunction with and without any current types of entertainment within our field that drives social media, that drives consciousness in a way that keeps it entertained, keeps it bogged down to the three-dimensional field, so to say. And as we begin to awaken one by one and to question our destiny, question our reality, question the pain that is about to sneak up on an entire humanity field through war, through torturous defeats of the collapse of our reality field as we know it, through the schemes and propaganda of the elites that have been in control within this reality field for far too long, through the grand plan of God, who decided to fractal out parts and pieces of its consciousness to come into this reality field to experience that of the opposite of reality. I welcome you to stick around, watch this video. If you haven't gotten to the end, you most probably haven't awakened to this extent as a light worker. If you have, congratulations. You've stepped into your mission, you've stepped into the ultimate frequency, you're ready. You're ready to stand guard, stand by with that sword and shield that you forever archingly carry in the endlessness that you are as a multi-dimensional, multi-frequency soul. You're ready to descend into the depths of despair, to feel the two-dimensional frequency, to feel the pain, to fear no fears. As you hold your head up high to guide Gaia on this mission of yours, to support her. So at the end of the day, at the end of the night, give yourself a pat on the back as you've gotten this far in my video, and perhaps 3% of the population wouldn't have gotten this far had I sat them down and forced them to listen. the understanding of this content will go above and beyond their comprehension field. And if you are a fractal of the frequency of these energetic ley lines and you've made it this far, you've been activated into your mission. If you know all the best for you, if you don't know, if you didn't know and you've made it this far, then triggering in this memory